All right, Dondré, we finally get to sit down. So we've had this conversation a whole lot of times, but without any cameras around.
Right.
What's going on, man?
Come on, bro. You know how we do it, man. I mean, the only way it could get better is if we were doing this on the golf course.
Right. Absolutely.
We one of the few bros that can actually go out there and do what we do on the golf course and have this same level of conversation.
Of course. You know, here's what's interesting. I tell people all the time about golf. First of all, when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was mid-20s. I got introduced to the game when I was doing All My Children. Richard Lawson actually was playing my father on the show, and he's a scratch. And he
Really?
said, yeah. Richard Lawson was killer on the golf course. And he said, I got a game, because I played 3 different sports, semi-pro, baseball, basketball, football. He knew that. He said, I got a game for you. I was like, oh, a game? What game? And he said, golf. And I was like, what? I'm not playing no golf, man. And we went to the driving
So you one of
range.
those brothers who were like, oh, they ain't no real sport. You know, basketball, football.
It didn't move fast enough. The perception back then, this is pre-Tiger.
Right.
The perception was that the game was white, that they wore funny clothes. So there was nothing appealing about the game at that point for me. I went to the driving range with him, and just like everybody else, and I'm sure you probably have the same story, I finally hit a ball to exactly where I was aimed at, and it was crap after that.
I tell people that all the time.
Yep.
Who don't understand when it all comes together.
Yeah, man.
How amazing it is. My brother was at Texas A&M a year before me, and so he took golf as his PE.
Yep.
And then I went out. He came home, and so he went and played 9 or 18, and so I just walked with him. I couldn't hit. I was left-handed. He's right-handed. So I could not hit his clubs.
Right.
And the thing that was interesting, which we didn't even figure out till later, all of the black men who lived right next to us, they played. We didn't even, I'm talking, it wasn't until after, we were out of college that we realized that our neighbor to the right, Mr. Simmons, he played, our neighbor across the street, our neighbor next to him, and it was like, no, all these black men played. We just never went out, and I hate that. I didn't take the game up sooner before I took it as my PE in college.
You and me both.
And I tell people all the time, that is a top 3 all-time decision in my life, deciding to play golf because of the people I've been able to meet, connect with, and experience.
Totally. It bridges that great chasm of different folks that you would never be able to converse with because you don't have much in common with.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, because of the game, you see them and they see you more clearly. Like my son is 12, Dre is playing, and Ro, he has the life I wish I had. Mm-hmm. My father was in and out of jail, right, for most of the formative years of my life. Growing up in Brooklyn, no golf courses.
Right.
So every single thing about his life, in having a father that gives him direction, about having access to a country club, because that's really what it's about.
Right.
It's about access and resources.
Right.
Because we can do anything. If you open up the door, if you give us the equipment, if you give us the information and instruction,
right.
and then and coaching in the form of accountability, man, Tiger proved it.
Reverend Jackson has this saying where he said, when the rules are published, when the goals are clear, mm-hmm. he said, we can excel at anything. Mm-hmm. He said, the basketball court is 94 feet wide.
That's it.
No matter where you go.
Yep.
Goals are 10 feet high, equal distance from the free throw line to the goal. Mm-hmm. You get the same number of timeouts that I get. Same rules. You get 5, I get 5. Now let's play.
Yep.
He said if that is applied to every aspect in life, mm-hmm. he said black people will succeed. He said, but that's only in sports.
Yep.
He said, once you go outside of that, then it becomes the subjective. Then it becomes, well, you're not a good fit. Or temperament, or tone. So you take all the things, at the end of the day, in sports, can you ball? That's what it boils down to. Now, sure, there's some other stuff, but you take Colin Kaepernick. Can he ball? Yeah. How dare you? How dare you initially sit and then kneel? So then it's not about that. And that's the piece that that really speaks to the fundamental problem that we face as black folks is, just, you say we're the same, let's go.
Yep.
Me against you.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
But we know that is not the case.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a fair game. It's kind of like playing the game of golf and you missing a bunch of clubs. That's what it's been like for us.
So why can't you hit that 210-yard shot? I'm sorry, because all I got is a 6-iron.
A 6-iron.
You got a 3 hybrid, 4 hybrid.
Exactly.
You got a 3 wood, 5 wood, 7
Exactly.
wood. Oh, so you wonder why in the hell I can't? Oh, and by the way, my grips are jacked up.
That's
They're
right.
torn. My grooves are grounded down. And so you try
Past generation equipment and technology.
Equipment is 15 years old.
Totally.
You playing with the new stuff, better technology, and then you wondering why my golf game is not the same.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what we've been dealing with. That's what we continue to deal with. That's why it's so important for us to, and I tell my son all the time, I said, Dre, please, man, if you love me at all, I want you to take advantage of, I said, I know it's difficult for you to completely understand right now because you're 12, and all you're used to is having access.
Right.
I said, but now what I want you to do is, I want you to imagine in your mind that you didn't grow up behind a gate, that you didn't go to private school your entire life, that you don't have access to this. What would that be right now? How would you feel? Would you want access to it so that you had the opportunity to be exposed to it? The other day we were playing, bro. It must have been about 5:30 in the afternoon. My son and I come off this par 3. He gets back to the golf cart. I stop. I said, Dre, look around you. He looks around. We literally were the only people on the golf course. It was just like this. It was so peaceful. It was so calm. It was so serene. I said, son, there are kids right now your age that would die to have this kind of experience.
Well, first of all, not just the experience of the solitude and the quietness, spending that level of quality time with the Father.
Forget it. And that really is, that's one of the reasons why I want to do my kid camps, from my book, Male versus Man, my platform and how I'm trying to grow. I'm in the growth business. My job is to help, as you are, is to help our young males grow into the men that they were destined to become, but so many fall short of the mark and are stagnant because they don't have fathers like us. They don't have mentors like us. They don't have models around them that they can mirror to help them matriculate into manhood, right? I went to camp. I was a Fresh Air Fund, babe. They had this program in the inner city where they would take inner city kids and they would take them out into the country and introduce them to a bunch of things that they didn't have access and resources to. Here we go back to that, right? And I remember that I learned so many things, and to this day that I carry with me based on what I got from those camps. Horseback riding, archery,
Right.
All those kinds of things.
That was a similar. In fact, it was funny. The other day, my brother had texted me and my sister about a camp that we had gone to our senior year in college before going to Texas A&M. And I remember growing up in Houston, there were summer camps that just what you described. They had, and it was like these, and they were these day camps. So it's not like you went and stayed. There were these day camps. And then bus picked us up every single day, took us to wherever this facility was. I remember it was a part of the city of Houston, and everything you just described. And that experience, because a sister, we were having a conversation, and the woman was asking me, she said, you're not frightened when you got to give a speech and go on stage? I said, no. And then she said, you serious? And then I told her, I said, the reason I'm not, I said, because there was one of those camps, we had a program, and it was at one of the convention center or something like that in Houston. There was like 5,000 people there. Mm-hmm. We performed it on the stage. Mm-hmm. And I said, I remember being in elementary school performing at this deal in front of 5,000 people. I said, so no, I'm not nervous when I'm standing in front of 5,000, right. 10,000 people as an adult, right? Because I had that experience. And thinking back, when you said, because what triggered when you said archery, and I was like, yo, because that was like cool.
Who thinks about it? And these are the kinds of things, it's so funny, Ro. I realized recently that when I was a kid, growing up in my environment in Brooklyn, I realized how many things that I called, and my peers called, corny, mm-hmm. because we didn't have access to it.
There you go.
You see it?
There you go.
So what we were doing was, we were helping ourselves to condition our hearts so that we wouldn't be broken up by the fact that we didn't have access to those things. Right. So we labeled them as corny to try to fool ourselves.
I ain't doing that.
I don't want that anyway. I don't want to do that. Right. We went to a dude ranch when I was in junior high school. Our senior class trip.
Mind you, I'm from Houston, so I'm used to that.
Right.
Yep.
So we got no idea. Right. So we get this now. Secretly, all of us love looking at images of people riding horseback.
Right.
But again, you label that corny because you don't have access to it.
Right.
We go to this dude ranch. I will never forget this as long as I live. And to this day, this is why I believe I am a black cowboy. We go to this dude ranch. We're all set up right here. The ranch hand says, first of all, it taught me two things. Number one, I said, all of this is yours? All of this is yours? Everything that we see? This is yours? Yeah, this is yours. It's the first time I had the lesson of acreage, right? So I'm sitting there and he said, I need a volunteer. So I'm sitting there. Now, my mind is still daydreaming about, wow, you own all of this. Own. He says, I need a volunteer. Now, we all stonewalling. This is stupid. This is stupid. He says, you. I look up. He said, yeah, you. Come here. Now, inside, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to get. But I had to front for my voice. Right. Because we still in the space of, this is corny.
Right.
I'm like, man, I'll be right back, man. I'm walking up. If they could have seen my face, because I couldn't hold it anymore. I was starry-eyed. I couldn't believe. I was like, please put me on this horse. He puts me on the horse. He shows me a couple of things, and he has me demonstrate for everybody. Oh my gosh, the cowboy in me was born. I said, oh my gosh. That's why the whole, I want to own my own land, acreage, do these camps on my land, introduce to it changed me, bro. It changed me. It was like putting lotion on my heart because it softened up my stance about what I then wanted about what I wanted for my life.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
when you talk about the access piece, what it does is it forces you to redefine your expectations.
Yeah.
Verizon had this, I was at this conference. Verizon had this campaign where what they did was they brought, and I wish they still had the website up because it was so powerful. And I'm gonna try to find the video because it's an amazing video. So they brought these kids together. And so they asked all these kids, black kids, white kids, Asian kids, Hispanic, all different groups. What do you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. So each one of the kids said, doctor, lawyer, police officer, firefighter, teacher, the typical jobs.
Yep.
Okay. So then what they did was they then had these huge digital boards. And so then they flashed on the boards all of these jobs and the average salaries.
Man, yeah, that's good right there.
And the kids went, whoa, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. Because they had never heard of the jobs. They hadn't seen the jobs.
No idea.
And when you're talking about that access piece, I think back to like those programs. Unfortunately, all of those programs got cut by cities. Mm-hmm. Got cut by counties. Mm-hmm. So I was born in November 14, 1968. So now, those programs you're talking about were late 70s, mm-hmm. early 80s. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, those have been long cut for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. What they gave us, they took us out of our environment. And look, I didn't grow up in public housing. Well, I just mom and dad, but the bottom line is, didn't have access to that stuff. But took us out of that and gave us the ability to see beyond our street.
Yeah, man.
And there were arts things, there were projects, so it allowed for our creativity. Yep. All those things firing in our brains. Yep. And it wasn't just basketball.
Yeah, man. That is so important, and that's the reason why I said the horseback riding was just one of a few things that happened to me in my life that began unlocking what I saw for myself. Because again, your experiences are the things that make you capable of being able to see yourself in the future.
Right.
Well, if the only thing that you have, to your point, is a basketball court and gunfire, then you don't see yourself actually surviving past the age of 20 or 30 years old, which a lot of our
hold on, and that's
a very real thing.
They don't see it surviving past 18.
18. So you're sitting there and you're going, what's wrong with them? Why are they acting this way? Why are they acting that way? Why are they conducting themselves that way? Well, if you don't see yourself surviving past the age of 18, does it really matter how you behave?
Good. You don't give a shit. You like, yo,
I'm done anyway.
I'm 13. I got 5 years left.
Years. I may as well.
And if you take the average adult, and if they knew, yo, I got 5 years of life left.
Man, listen.
They gonna act a fool. They
a complete fool.
They gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna do everything.
Everything. I'm gonna get it in right here because I got 5. I'm on borrowed time right now. Like, literally, if you're sitting there and you think of your life on this a sand clock. Most people call it an hourglass, but sometimes the sand clocks are less than an hour, sometimes more than an hour. But a sand clock. If you saw your life in a sand clock and you knew that sand clock only had 5 years left, you're gonna be cutting it up. And that's what is going on in a lot of our brothers. But those experiences begin to allow them to see themselves differently. To your point, it's one of the reasons why I became an actor, because in elementary school, Miss Jackson, may she rest in peace, she was in charge of doing all the school plays. One day she came in and she brought a list of actors and their salaries for the year. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that people are doing this for this kind of money?
Right.
And I immediately latched onto that. So to that point, many of our kids would aspire to do different things had they had somebody inform them, hey, you could, whoever told our kids, hey, you know, you could become a scuba diver instructor. Nobody ever gives them those options. So when you said, hey, what do you want to be? Doctor, lawyer, police officer, because somebody told them about that. Right. That's all they know.
All they see, all they know. And it's interesting, we talk about the salary piece, because here's what I find to be, it's hilarious. You have adults who say, every time I go to these schools, they ask me about money. Those things are not important. I'm like, you lying? I'm like, you lying.
What?
I remember I was sitting down with Frank Clark. He was the president of ComEd in Chicago. And Frank is an amazing guy. His wife Vera is wonderful. She's a huge fan of mine when I was on WVON in Chicago. And so here's his brother, president of ComEd, energy company. And Frank really was about getting black kids involved in STEM, especially young black boys. So we were talking, and so Frank says, Roland, you know, I just, you know, how we connect with these kids. I said, Frank, you're doing this wrong. Now, mind you, he's sitting here. Now, mind you, I'm managing editor of the Chicago Defender, this little black newspaper. Right. This is Frank Clark, the president of ComEd, making $4 or $5 million a year, you know, stock options, all this sort of stuff.
Right.
So, man, I said, Frank, you're doing this wrong. He's like, what? I said, Frank, the next time you go talk to a school, I want you to tell the teacher to have the students assemble and wait for you on the curb. He was like, why? I said, Frank, you get driven.
Right.
I said, right. They need to see you pull up.
Word.
And a man or a woman get out and open your door. I said, I want you to wear your most expensive suit and wear your Rolex.
Yep.
And I said, I want you to walk in. I said, I want you to wait for one. It's gonna come.
Yep.
Well, a student's gonna say, how much you make? I said, Frank, your salary's in the SEC filing. It's public.
Period.
I said, and what you should say is, young man, I make $4 million a year. I said, Frank, I guarantee you, from that moment on,
you got their attention.
I said, from the moment they saw that chauffeur-driven car, and I said, Frank, I want you to bring some photos of your house.
Yes.
I said, and put it up.
Yep.
And I said, because then you can say, y'all saw how I ride.
Yep. Yep.
This Rolex is $20,000.
You see homeboy open my door.
You see, this is where I live with my wife.
Yep.
And I make $4 million a year. Mm-hmm. I said, every kid is gonna say, how can I get that? I said, and now you got them.
See,
now you can say, this is what you gotta do.
That's the Chris Gardner moment, right? So some people will go, well, why is that important? Okay, well, what do our kids aspire to be right now? Okay, so they might aspire to sell drugs. Why? Because they see what the drug dealer is driving.
Right.
They see what kind of respect the drug dealer gets on the street. They aspire to be basketball players. Why? They see what the
lifestyle.
They see the lifestyle.
We did when you mentioned the drug dealers. My frat in our chapter, Texas A&M, Palmer Crump. We graduate, so we still had our initiatives. We went to a school. We closed all the shades. We closed the shades. So at a certain point, we had all of our cars lined up in the parking lot. They were all lined up in the parking lot. At a certain point, raise the shades. All these, mostly black, all these kids, mostly black.
Yeah.
Mazda RX-7,
Yep.
Mercedes,
Yep.
BMW,
Yep.
pimped out truck.
Yep.
So, they saw all, and they were like, they went from here. Yup.
Y'all rolled up in here with those?
Y'all drive that? They didn't see one drug dealer.
Right.
They didn't see one athlete.
Yep.
They didn't see one entertainer,
Yep.
one singer.
Yep.
And our whole deal was, yes.
Yes.
And see, so I think it's so stupid. We're doing this wrong.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Everything about American society is capitalism, is wanting the best life, the best vacations. Why in the hell am I going to stand in front of kids and say, kids, those things are not important? I said, when you're lying.
Particularly when you're talking to people who are in lack.
Right.
You can have that conversation with people who have an abundance of resources.
But even that's a lie.
That's still a lie too.
It's like my deal is you accept what it is and say, now I'm gonna use it and now say, now this is what you got to do.
No question.
To get it.
Now see, this is
because that's what she did to you.
That's exactly.
She gave you the list and it was like,
oh wait a minute, this appeals
you want to do that? You want to do that, Dondré?
Why? Because you don't have that.
And then said, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do? Now watch this. Remember I said this is your Chris Gardner moment, right?
Right.
Chris Gardner said that he saw a dude pull up in a Ferrari, and he's because if folks saw the movie, he got little man. They sleeping in subway bathrooms and all that other nonsense. He sees this dude pull up in a Ferrari. He says, "Excuse me, what do you do?
Right.
And how do you do that?" That's what our kids need. They need to be able to see, oh, it's not just this. It's not just the basketball. It's not just the drug. It's not just this. It's not just the entertainment. Even me, I don't push being an actor. Like the thing that I love right now, particularly as I work on book number 2, is when people ask me, they go, "Excuse me, what do you do?" I say, "I'm an author." Because you already know about the acting part. It's easy to do that. I tell our kids, no, I'm an author. I now write books. That's what I do. I also this is my purpose work. Let me explain that to you. So now I want you, whatever it is that you're passionate about, I want you to figure out, how can I monetize that? How do I get to the capitalism part?
Right.
Because that's what this country, in the end, that's what it's going to boil down to.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You can argue all day all you want to. It's not right. It's wrong. Look, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And so my deal is, how do you then leverage that? How do you then build it? How do you organize it? How do you teach somebody? And it's sort of, because see, when you said I'm an author, see, I keep telling people why words matter.
Yep.
Folks, when I was playing, I joined 2 clubs. Sent my nieces back. I said, you know what? I said, I'm 52. I'm 53 in November. I said, I've been sitting here depriving myself of things that I want to do, taking care of my nieces, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. So sent my 2 twins back. I said, oh, hell no. So I was like, I can join this club, I can join that club. And I went,
I can join both.
Hell, I'm gonna join both. Because one is a troon, one is a club court. I travel, I'm like, I'm gonna be able to play somewhere, wherever I go in the country.
Yep.
I said I'm joining both.
Yep.
And you can sit here and talk about, oh, you flexing. I don't give a damn. That's why I worked hard. Okay? That's why I worked hard. But the thing is, I came to the club, go to the bathroom, I'm going back out to play. So I Texas A&M hat, shirt, I got my maroon shorts, I got my A&M socks. I'm sitting here, I'm decked out. So the guy goes, says, oh, he said, you're a Texas A&M fan? I said, no. He's like, okay.
I'm confused.
Like, I'm seeing all this, and it's a Texas A&M golf bag, Texas A&M head covers.
Right.
I said, no, I'm a Texas A&M graduate.
Right.
And
that's different than a fan.
Laughing.
A fan is, I didn't graduate from there and I like that team.
See, now, I've had people say, man, why you gotta be petty? I said, no, I'm not being petty.
Words matter.
Said, I'm saying it for a reason.
Yes.
I said, I need, and this is especially white people.
Yes.
Because I get also that you play football. No.
No.
I'm like, you need to understand
Yep.
that we can go to any institution of higher learning, even a predominantly white institution like Texas A&M, and not play ball.
Yep.
And I emphasize that because I need, when people say that, I need young people. No. I'm a graduate. That means something. So I'm very particular. That's why I don't allow people around me who go, well, it is a black business. No. Because see, again, what you're saying is you're telling yourself that's less than.
It's less than.
It's secondary.
That's right.
It's not as good.
Yep.
And I think for a lot of us, we don't really, we don't pay attention to words all the time.
Yeah.
To words all the time.
Yeah.
Very much about, about 20 years ago, maybe even longer than that, when I made a conscious decision, I am not going to use the N-word. Because I said, I can affirm my brother and not call him my nigga. And I remember Darren Henson, I said, what's up, dog? So he has a thing where, do not call him dog. Like, what's up, dog?
Right.
He's like, that's not who we are. Like, he's very adamant about that.
Right.
And that was the first time, and I was like, seriously? But it was sort of like, same thing with the N-word.
Right.
He was like that.
Right.
Cicely Tyson,
Right.
when she spoke, she was very, when women would say, man, please, she was like, I'm sorry, you're a woman.
Right.
She was very precise with that. And we have to be, I believe, we have to be far more cognizant of those words and how we use them and what we say, because what they can invoke, what they can imply.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think particularly
Which is why you say, I'm an author.
I'm an author.
You're saying that for a reason.
For a reason, because specifically, and we have now, because of our position, because of our platforms, we fly, we may fly first class and all those kinds of things. And you may be sitting next to a person, one of our brothers and sisters who happen to be white, and sit down next to you and ask you about what it is that you do, because they find this quizzical look.
Oh, like literally, how
are you here with me?
Oh my God. I got to tell you this. Peter Bino's attorney in Chicago. Peter probably at best 5'3". Peter probably say 4'5", 5'5". Okay, but Peter's short. Peter real short. But like a $2,000 an hour attorney, one of the baddest brothers.
Right.
Used to be a minority owner of the Denver Nuggets. Peter gets on a plane, white guy goes, well, you're not tall enough to play basketball.
Wow.
And you're not big enough to play football. So what do?
Wow.
Straight up. Peter's cool as a cucumber. Peter said, I'm the biggest drug dealer in Chicago.
That's hilarious.
And sat down, popped his Wall Street Journal.
That's hilarious.
And for the rest of that flight,
that whoever that was utterly confused.
Dog, shut his ass. He said, I'm the biggest drug dealer in Chicago.
That is hilarious.
Peter is a corporate attorney.
Right.
Millionaire, highly successful. Dude, he was like,
at Wall Street Journal.
So you gonna tell me I ain't tall enough to be a basketball player? I ain't big enough to be a football player. So you question why I'm sitting here in first class?
It's so funny because of course, look, I've been an actor, like I said, for 4 decades now. And whenever I have those conversations with them and they ask, particularly when I'm going on a trip to go speak about my book,
right,
or go speak about my messaging and my purpose work. Well, I'm not an actor now.
Right.
I'm in the capacity of what this is I'm an author. I can't tell you how telling it is for them to have the kind of reaction.
Dude, it's like,
you're an author? That already implies that you read, and then it obviously implies that you write. well enough to be published.
Right.
And then they go into, well, what's the name of the book?
Boom.
Because now what they want to do is
Now you got to prove.
yes. And I want to see what this is about. Is this book did you write a book about basketball?
Right. Right.
Is the book
It's amazing. Like they'll go down this whole line of trying to. I know you doing sports. It's like
it's got to be in there somewhere.
It's like when I'm wearing. Look, I support Houston Rockets.
Yes.
Houston Astros.
Yes.
Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yep.
Texas A&M.
Yep.
And I used to always rock my Houston Texans stuff before the Kaepernick stuff and NFL started tripping.
Yep.
So I haven't worn their stuff in a long time.
Yep.
And it's, well, do you play? Do you coach?
So hilarious.
And it's like, that white boy got an Arkansas hat and shirt on.
Right.
And your ass didn't ask
You didn't ask him that?
if he a damn coach. And I don't have people, and I always tweet at people like, man, you always post this. I'm like, you don't understand.
Yep.
I'm like, if this is happening on a repeated basis, they and other white people
Yep.
are making these same judgments about other black men.
Yep.
And other black women, and then they're taking it not just in first class on the planes.
Yep.
They're making the same judgment when they walk into the restaurant,
Totally.
when they walk into the business, when they walk into anything, and that is what we're dealing with.
Yep.
And that's what happens when I'm going to the restaurant, meeting my table, I'm sitting here rocking all white linen and some sandals, and a white man looks up with two white women and goes, I need some water. I'm like, hell, I don't work here. And one of the women, what do you do? I'm like, I ain't got no damn name tag on. But he literally looks up.
Made the assumption.
Forget the fact that I ain't dressed like nobody who works
else.
there. Black dude walking towards the table. Oh, you must be the waiter. And it's like, no. And people like, I would check somebody. Well, no. Like a white guy saw my Alpha. I got this my 30th anniversary Alpha Phi Alpha. Guy goes, is that a Baylor football ring? I have my headphones on. And one, it's an insult to me as a Texas A&M graduate to say I went to Baylor. my niece,
I can only imagine.
It's an insult. My niece Chloe got a great scholarship from there. She didn't go to A&M like her parents did. But that's an insult to say
Chloe,
I went to Baylor.
Sorry.
Right.
I'm apologizing.
To say I went to Baylor.
I know you got.
To say I went to Baylor.
For it.
I got abused for it. So I went to the headphones. I was like, huh? I said, Baylor? I said, oh, hell no. I said, I didn't go to no damn Baylor. So then he goes, I said, I'm a Texas A&M graduate. Then he goes, well, is that a Texas A&M football? No.
It has nothing to do with
It's not a Texas A&M football.
Man.
I was like, no. I didn't play no damn football. And now he's sort of like waiting for this headphone.
Unbelievable.
Back on it. I don't owe your ass an explanation of what this ring is.
Nope. Look, and
I'm not about to explain to you. So I'm gonna let your ass sit there for the rest of the flight, trying to figure out who is this black man with this big old ring, with these 9 diamonds. I'm trying to figure out who the hell, no, actually it's about 12 diamonds. But he's sitting there, and I'm like, and I'll get people like, why does this bother you? I'm like, because you don't understand.
Yep.
That's a prejudgment.
Yes.
That every black kid and black teenager and black young adult, black professional has to deal with. And I'm gonna use the opportunity to check a white person to say, don't do that shit again.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, look, we don't always, you and I wear gear. We wear hoodies. So you can't make that assumption about me based on gear.
Right.
Nobody makes it about you.
And I want to be able to represent my frat, my team, my city, my school, and not your ass think I'm a player, coach, or former player. I mean, they'll go through, bruh, I've never seen people go through the mental gymnastics of, did you play? I had one ask, did I play? No. Well, do you coach that? No. Do you have a son that plays? I said, no.
It's crazy, man.
I'm a damn graduate.
It's crazy. You mean to tell me that you're educated? That can't be.
No.
That you actually make your living through something that is cerebral and not something that's physical.
This dude, he went through like 4 or 5. At no point did he just say, "What do you do?" No, you went through this whole judgment thing
Based on my own perceptions.
and all you saw was this black man who you thought had an athletic build, wearing gear. There's no way you are sitting in first class.
Happens all the time. I've never sat in first class and not had that conversation when I was sitting next to a white brother or sister.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? What gets me is when you sit in the first class. And this is definitely pre-COVID, because now with the mask and stuff. And it's other black people getting on a plane. And you sitting in first class. Oh my God, Roland Martin. Brother, I love your work. Brother, keep giving them hell.
Yeah.
And so it'll be like 6 or 8 or 10. And the quizzical looked at the white folks like, who the hell is, do you know?
I get that.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is everybody
Right.
stop?
So now you definitely got to be an athlete.
And I literally had some. I had one woman. She was sitting next to me. We was in the bulkhead, and everybody coming on speaking. It's probably about 20 black people. I don't know. We were going to Essence or something. It was like a bunch of black people. And then, are you a ball player? I was like, are you a cheerleader? I did. I said, you a cheerleader? I mean, cause sometimes you just.
Yeah, man. That comes from having to hold it in.
But what that is they are looking at us as black men, and they're saying these are the only things you can do. You are not a CEO.
We talked
You're
about
not
this.
a team owner.
We talked about this before the camera started rolling about how so many folks in our society, and even
we do it.
our
people,
our own people,
yes,
look at black men as a monolith.
Yep.
You have got to do something physical. If you don't do something physical, then I can't imagine how you have your comeuppance.
Or you've got to have a dark past. You can't.
Something has to be wrong.
You can't be this. You can't be a gentleman. You can't be cordial.
Yep.
You can't open doors.
It's one of the reasons why I don't like the vast majority. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest. I know very few shows that paint us accurately.
Right. In the proper mosaic.
Yes.
That we are a variety of people.
Yes.
A variety of brothers.
Yes. Like, and I'm gonna be further honest. Most people think that these television shows that tell stories about who we are as black men, and then they paint these monolithic portraits of us. They think that they're being painted by white people. And I gotta tell you,
right,
there are a whole bunch of black folks,
right,
that are the creators,
right,
the head writers,
right,
the directors of all of these shows, and that are still painting us as monoliths.
Because what we have to, when you start examining systems.
People don't really want to have this conversation.
No, they don't. They don't. Because when we start examining systems.
Yep.
First and foremost, especially when you talk about, we can talk about this within the context of Hollywood and media, because one, folk go, oh, that's so-and-so's show. No. She may be the creator, the executive producer, the showrunner, but
she don't own that show.
She doesn't own.
She doesn't own that show.
What does it run on? Who are the executives that she or he is reporting to? What notes are they giving? Then what happens is, we as Black people, because we know you largely have white executives, we then are cultivating something that we have to go through to gain their approval. So what we're actually doing is, we're actually thinking white, thinking about the presentation of our character, or even in the stories that we tell, to gain the approval for somebody to say, yes, let's go in that direction.
Good. Let's do that.
Which is why I explain to people why there has to be a reprogramming of Black America, because white supremacy is so powerful that we have been forced to look at ourselves, even though we might be two brothers talking, we're thinking about that white man, and what was it? I think the character was the episode on Black. I remember when, what was it? What show were we talking about? Even when we talk about white people, we start whispering. We'll be like, man, even the white people, like we can't even. We'll be talking about Black, this level of volume, and then but the white people, like even in close quarters, we'll whisper. The white people. Because we've been so conditioned to where they control it all.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's so interesting because you look at our hit TV shows. You know, even what I resent as a Black father, as an excellent Black father. I got a 17-year-old daughter, I got a 12-year-old son. And my job is to make sure that I am being the model that my son can mirror, but then also being the model of what manhood is, so that my daughter can identify what a man is. Right? You look at
Black manhood is not solely defined as how you want your son to be.
Yes.
Your daughter needs to see what Black manhood is.
She needs to see what that is, right? And experience that every day. Know what love from a Black man feels like, right? So you look at our TV shows, you know, and I tell folks all the time, listen, I'm gonna go right to camera on it. Look, when I say this is not about judgment, this is about assessment. So, because we can't have conversations anymore where we critique anything. Like, people have gotten to the
you hating.
You hating. Like, everybody's beyond reproach. It's like, no, I'm giving you what my assessment is based on what it is that I'm seeing.
And like, when someone comes at me, now if I respond back to you, you're gonna have to defend your assessment.
Period.
I had some brothers like, Roland doesn't uplift non-famous Black voices on the show. I said, you a damn lie.
Where does that come from? And find me that.
I said, you a damn lie. Would you like me to list them? And I had fans went, you a damn lie. And so this cat kept coming back, and I was like, bruh, he's like, well, that's my opinion. Just because your ass got an opinion,
doesn't make it so.
Don't mean that I'm not going to respond. Now, if you truly believe that, let's sit here, and I need you to defend your opinion.
That's right.
Defend your position.
Yeah.
But we all can offer that, as you said, that assessment, that critique, that analysis of something, and don't just sit here and get all upset. Defend it.
Yep.
If you telling me I'm wrong.
If you tell me, then prove that.
Come on.
Yeah, and so, you know, when I was talking about like the TV shows, as a father, I resent that Black fathers are represented in a very specific way.
Yeah.
Like, and again, not calling out names, not calling out TV shows, but y'all know what, y'all know what, look, you look at the TV shows and go down the list and then, and measure it up against against what I'm saying. You've got black fathers. I had somebody say to me, well, what about this show? He's a black father, he's a black husband. I said, okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to really examine this.
Right.
He is actually less than a child on that show.
Boom.
Because the children are actually raising the father.
Come on.
They're correcting the father.
Right.
The wife is correcting the father. The mother is correcting the father. The father of the father is correcting the father. So the miseducation somehow of this black man, which makes him incapable of really leading his house.
Right.
Because everybody in the house is going, we gotta do something about that.
Boom. He can't fix nothing.
He
can't do nothing. He is just awful. He just, everything, and so he is the butt of jokes. He is all of that. And what is that then? What is the projection? What is it saying in terms of what does it say? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. I wrote Eton Thomas wrote a book about this. He interviewed me for it about fatherhood and black fatherhood. Former NBA player.
Yeah.
And I because I had written an essay where I said, I'm sick of this shit of watching commercials and the baby in the back seat crying. Mm-hmm. And a punk ass daddy. And it was a white father, but I don't care.
Right.
The punk ass daddy had to press the OnStar button to call mama. And when mama starts speaking, the baby stops crying. I was like, this is some bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
And then the commercial where the daddy comes into the kitchen and the kids done got cereal all over the place. And his first response is, the look of angst, where's your mother? I'm like, yo, punk ass the daddy.
Right there, what is going on?
And for me, because I know how my daddy was.
Right.
Daddy was like, he ain't asked what my mama was.
Right.
Daddy was like, I got this. And mama, I didn't grow up
I don't understand.
where mama was like, when your daddy get home, no. I remember my mom smacking the shit out of us with these wooden spoons. She had a baking business. Mm-hmm. So we had she was like, the wooden spoon was for cakes and was a weapon.
And for you.
Right. So, but so for me, watching this, but see, here's the other piece though. Then we had this conversation when we deal with that. And I've had this conversation with some sisters. Mm-hmm. You are a hyper masculine black man. I said, whoa. I said, how in the hell am I a hyper? You are hyper masculine. That's toxic masculinity. I said, no, I'm not a hyper masculine black man if my daddy and my mama raised me to be a confident, assertive black man.
Period.
I'm not sitting here laying hands on a sister.
Nope.
I'm not demeaning her and her job, but I'm gonna be a brother. I'm gonna be a man. And what I'm not going to do is apologize for being a man.
No, that right there is that is precisely where we are right now in society. That men actually being men is a danger to women. That's where we are right now. So Me Too and Time's Up have created an environment that is very confusing and at times very dangerous for brothers like you and I, who are absolutely well-intentioned and very informed. Many people are well-intentioned but misinformed.
It was like that. There were these men who were like, "Man, I don't know what I can do now. What I'm not gonna be able to hire women or take them to lunch." I said, "No." I said that ain't what they're saying. I literally, it was a couple of guys who were talking, and I had to be as raw as possible. I said, "No, what they saying is stop trying to fuck them."
Stop. That's it.
No, I couldn't sit here and try. I was like, that's what they mean.
Right.
I said, "I'm sorry. You don't have to comment on their ass.
Yes.
You ain't got to try to grab their breast.
That's
try
right.
to give them a kiss. How about they just work there?" I
That's
said,
it.
it ain't that hard.
That's it.
I said, so you don't have to stop hiring women.
Yep.
You don't have to stop mentoring women.
Yep.
I said, but yo, if your whole desire is to bang them, I said, which is in your mind, I said, that's the problem.
Watch this. Watch this. How about as simple as don't make a comment on their appearance? Like, you got all these bros in here. We came in here, right? You're dressed well. I feel like I'm dressed well. There's a bunch of brothers in here that dress well. Not one of us said, "Yo, dog, I love the way you look."
No.
Not one of us did that. Why is it necessary for you to do that to a sister who is sitting there and she may look nice, but it's not necessary for you to make a comment on her appearance?
So
just don't do that.
Right, just that. Like,
it's very simple.
At my job, yo, ain't nobody getting a hug.
That's it.
Nobody.
That's it.
Ain't nobody getting a hug.
It's simple.
Now,
it's simple.
If y'all want a hug, that's y'all.
Hey, listen, I dapped up a bunch of bros in here. Not one of us hugged. We shook hands.
Right.
We bumped it. We dapped up.
Or if you really know somebody, dap.
Yeah, boom.
Embrace whatever.
Now we do that because we know each other. We have history.
I was in Atlanta. Deion Sanders had this thing, and he was like, "Yo, man, Denzel's upstairs." And I had met Denzel just a couple times.
Yep.
I just went up and speak.
Yep.
And so I walk up, and there was this sister. I walk up, and this woman, she's talking to Denzel, and so she's sitting here. She want a picture, you know. She's like, "Oh, can I get a hug?" No. And she's like, Denzel said, "I don't know you." I'm watching this. Denzel's, I don't know you.
I'm sorry.
And so then what happens is Denzel turns and he sees me. He said, "Now, I know him."
Right.
He gets a hug. And I was like, he's like, "But I don't know you."
I'm sorry.
And Denzel walks over, embraces me. "What's up, my brother?" It was the funniest thing. He was like, "I don't know you."
I don't know you.
I know him.
Hey, listen, man, I used to go through this all the time. People feel like because you're in the entertainment industry and they have in their minds a relationship with you, that entitles them to certain
And television
things.
does that because it's you see them, you think you know them.
It's intimate.
Right.
Yeah, it's up close, right? So my wife, and bros lose their mind when they get around this woman because...
So for everybody who don't know, Dondré has been married. He's married to Sally Richardson Whitfield. Talented actress, director, fine as all get out. Gorgeous. She don't need no makeup.
She don't need
She
no
don't
makeup.
need none of that.
No.
Yo, y'all, if you seen her in Posse, if you saw her in the Keenan Ivan Wayans
Low Down Dirty Shame.
Low Down Dirty Shame.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to home. Sally is all that. All that. But go ahead.
So you get there, and all of a sudden, a cat who sees her and in my presence losing his mind. And my wife and I used to get into little verbal skirmishes about this because at times I would have to check a cat.
Right, because it was a little extra.
Because they go in, because they, and I'm like, ho, bruh. That's a married woman right there, and that happens to be my wife. So I want you to do something with your hand before I do something with mine. And my wife would be like, because, for some reason now she's thinking that, now they're not going to like me.
Or it's about to be a scene.
It's about to be a scene. I'm like, I don't care. And everybody knows me. There's two versions of me. There's Disciple Dondré and Brooklyn Dre. And you do not want to meet Brooklyn Dre because there have been quite a few cats that, it's serious when you got to grab a cat under his armpit and escort him someplace. And there have been numerous cats I have had to grab under the arm to go, yeah, bruh. That's just what it is. Because this is my wife. At the end of the day, bro, I'm responsible for this right here.
Right.
My wife and my children. And you gonna act accordingly. And if you don't, people go, well, y'all don't travel with security? I'm like,
no.
Negro, I am the security.
Okay, for everybody watching, y'all gotta understand. Y'all, it's a true story, y'all. Folks, this fun as all get out. So, so Sally does a movie with Ava. Was it I Will Follow?
I Will Follow.
Okay, all right. So, I don't know Ava.
Right.
I know Sally.
Right.
I don't know Ava.
Right.
Had never heard of Ava.
Right.
Didn't know nothing about Ava.
She was a publicist before that.
Right. I ain't never heard of Ava DuVernay.
Yep.
So Sally hits me, and she's like, we're trying to get some publicity for this movie. Roland, can we come on your show? Yeah, come on the show. All right, come on. So they come on the show. I tell the White House, like, I was trying to get into Michelle Obama and those people, see that she's like, oh, they'll be great. I'm like, ain't no thing. I send an email, whatever. Oh, y'all, it's so funny. So Dondré hit me up. I'm forgetting Dondré hit me up. So then your book come out. Sally sent me a text. She's like, look, I need this book to be a bestseller. I gotta get Dondré on your show. Like, all right, Dondré, come on. Dondré hit me up. Hold up. How the hell I'm trying to get on your show, I'm hitting you up, but my wife texts you and you say yes. I was like, what is Sally? So that's why every time I would see Dondré, what up, man, what up? I said, where's Sally? He's like, you always ask. And so now I just do it just a straight jack with him. I be like, where's Sally at? He's like, oh, you can't even speak to me first. You got to ask about Sally.
Because hey, bro, we got to check out bros. I'm like, hey, Negro, you ain't going to just be sitting here saying what's going on with my wife. And you don't check for your brother first.
I said, you know Sally love him, bro. I said, you know. Some good news, finally. After 4 years of this show, we have been nominated for an NAACP Image Award, of course. And so here's the deal. It's now public. Go ahead and show it. So here are the nominees. Of course, our election night coverage, along with other specials from OWN and ABC as well. And so here's the deal. You can vote. The public can now vote. So I want you to do this here. I'm gonna try to see if I can do this real quick here. You go to my iPad, and so here's what you go to NAACPImageAwards.net. Okay, what you do is you click vote. And then what happens is you see all of the categories here. Again, our category is outstanding news information special. You will see right here, this is where, and then you click vote. Now what you can do is you can vote in one category, or you can go back to vote in all the categories. And then once you're done, you can only vote via one email, just one email. And keep in mind, the deadline is February 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So I want all of our folks to vote for Roland Martin Unfiltered to win the Image Award for this category, Outstanding News Information Series or Special. Go to NAACPImageAwards.net to cast your ballot. What trips me out with people when like in this space where there's this whole attitude like we can't really and truly, when you talk about the notion of what it means to be a man, you talked about this here, the thing that you and Devon did in the Bahamas, and redefining that phrase, what it means to be a man, because what it means to be this whole idea, you know, like all these cats, no, a man got to make more money. No, that's not. First of all, that's not what it means to be a man.
Yeah.
A man, like, this is what a man's supposed to do. No. And so it's redefining that. And see, that was one of the things that I really, really appreciated about your Queen Sugar character, because Remy represented a lot of us who we didn't see. Dude who wasn't in jail.
Yes.
Bruh who wasn't drinking, smoking.
Educated.
Brother who was educated.
Man of the community.
Who was respectful.
Respectful.
People in the community appreciated his knowledge and service.
Yep.
And that was the thing that really, for me, I was like, yo, that's me.
Yep.
Because in many ways, and again, and you know, look, my dad worked at Amtrak, blue collar, didn't go to college, okay? But character, so for me, he raised me and my brother different.
Yep.
How, we know where we are, the places that we live, the things that we do, both owning our own businesses.
Yep.
That was the thing for me, and that's why, you know, when the character started shifting, I said something, because I was a viewer. And the reason that was important, I hit you up, and I was just like, look, this is important because we need to see all of us on television, all of us in our black manhood, if you will, and not just a narrow view of this is who brothers are.
Yeah, see, this is the reason why you and I had this conversation. So first of all, what Remy represented for us, what Remy represented us, brothers like us, right? So responsible and well-read and does for the community, all those things that were aforementioned, right? So when we saw this brother go left, brothers like us said, okay, so who represents us now?
Right.
And there were people who were going, well, Hollywood does. I'm like, no. Hollywood does not represent us. Hollywood was still married while dealing with Vi, right? So that's a different kind of, and I'm just saying this as respectfully as I can. There's so much of what Hollywood is that comes from Vi. Remy was his own man.
Right.
Remy walks solo when necessary.
Right.
Because that's what men do, right? So I can't tell you, first few years of me doing Remy on Queen Sugar, how many sisters said, I don't trust him. I don't trust Remy. And they said that because he was too nice, he was too good. So really what that means is too many of our sisters, and I'm going directly in the camera because I want our folks to know this. And this is where our brothers like us are pissed off. Too many of our sisters don't believe that we exist. We ain't unicorns.
Right.
We are not unicorns. There are legions of brothers like us in our community, but our sisters do not believe that we exist. which means that you feel like what you're really saying is, no matter how good you are, if I just give you enough time, you're going to show your part in the expression, your true color. Really, none of you all exist in this. All of you are potential R. Kellys and so on and so forth if we just give you enough time.
I remember being in college, and I am...
You got me hot in here, bro.
Gotta take some water.
Man.
I'm in my sister's dorm room, and her roommate is in the room, and there were 2 other sisters who were down the hall. So it's 4 sisters in the room, and it's me. And so we having this conversation. 2 of them were dating football players. One of the football players dragged her down the hallway, threw her out of the dorm because she surprised him, and he had his girlfriend from out of state visiting. Another one went to a party, left the party with another sister, and then she was all pissed off. They broke up. So we sitting there having this conversation. And they just going in on these brothers. This and this and this. I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry. I'm sitting right here.
Right.
Everything that you are describing, I'm the opposite.
Yep.
So, one of the sisters, I invited her over to the crib, cooked and baked. So right there,
right,
like,
blown mind.
Okay. Studied, chilled. Nothing happened, but just cool evening. Supposed to go out again, go to a frat brothers event, hitting her up, can't reach her, can't find out. The ex-boyfriend, Thursday night game, came back into town, made a booty call at 3 a.m., raced right over, was there the whole weekend. All right, fine. So I graduate. 2 months later, come back. We have our Miss Black and Gold pageant. Sister sees me. Ooh, touched the lapel. Mm-hmm. Ooh, nice suit. I said, back the hell up. I said, I had this suit. Mind you, I graduated 2 months previously. Mm-hmm. I said, back the hell up. I had this suit when I was here. Mm-hmm. I said, you're on what? I said, now I'm a graduate. Mm-hmm. Now you see the reporting job that I had.
Right.
I said, did you not think I wasn't gonna get a job?
Right.
Did you not think? Now, mind you, I got my job a month before graduation. Mm-hmm. I had the job in November. Mm-hmm. I said, so did you not think this was going to happen? But it was like there was an attitude shift because my situation changed. But what drove me crazy was that I would hear these folks in college talk about, man, these men ain't this man. And I said, hold up. I said, you do know that there are few of us who go to graduate school and few of us get PhDs. I said, so really, if you're looking for a college-educated man, boo. This is the field you're dealing with.
Yep.
And the thing, and brothers have the exact same conversation. What I am trying to get people to understand is, if you are making these broad judgments, you're making a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. And what you should be doing is looking at that brother or that sister for who they are, as opposed to all these cats, like you say, can't trust them, not good. Well, no, if you actually take the time to meet Remy and spend time with Remy, y'all are good. But in your mind, because of what you dealt with and your experience, all these brothers are bad.
Yep.
And that, to me, is dangerous when we project that to our young boys.
Yeah.
And project that to our young girls, because see, now when they come of age, that's all that they have heard. And so now They have created this image in their mind in many ways, like the white person who asked, did we play ball?
How did you come to sit up here? See, this speaks to exactly what I address in my book, Male versus Man, because we have a branding issue here. Because you turn 18 or because you turn 21 actually does not make you a man. See,
or because you impregnated that girl, and now you got to raise the baby, that'll make you a father.
Period. Same thing. So in the book, I talk about the difference between, because they go, male versus man. Well, isn't that the same thing? Absolutely not. A male just means that I have a penis and a pulse. That really is all it takes for me to be a male. But in order for me to be a man, I have to have purpose and precision. So don't call that dude, watch this. When a guy rapes a woman, when a dude abuses somebody, when a dude goes out of his way to cause dismay and destruction, they go, I can't believe that man did that. Well, I'm doing the work of, I've been with the same woman for 24 years. We've been married for 19 of those. We're still together. I have 2 children. I take care of them. I take care of the children outside my own community. Anybody inside my purview, they become my bonus children.
Right.
What do they call me? They call me man. Okay, wait a minute. How can you call me, based on what I do, the same word
right.
that you call this dude that caused all this destruction and dismay and chaos and all of that? How can we be the same exact thing? We can't be. That's a male and I'm a man. And that is one of the biggest problems that we are dealing with right now, is that they don't know how to readily identify the difference between us.
Right.
And so subsequently, because they don't know how to do that, which is why the book was so important, because they don't know how to do that, they would just rather assume all of y'all are dangerous.
Right.
Since we can't distinguish between the difference between one or the other. Because you are a male, because you are a man, but because we don't know the difference, we just are gonna say, if you have a penis at all, that makes you dangerous.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? I remember having a conversation and this was, we were talking about ratios and male to female on college campuses, or same thing even in life. And I said, whoa, I said, let's just be real clear. I said, you be careful with the ratios. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you're making the assumptions that all the sisters in that grouping are good, that aren't tainted, that don't have issues, don't have baggage. I said, that are free and clear of that. I said, so let's be real. I said, let's be real careful when we start assessing all these brothers are this, all these brothers are this. I said, when you can't make the assumption, and even when we're talking about that sister might have a corporate job, might have a might be an entrepreneur, but don't mean everything is all good there. And I said, that's the mistake, because what we're doing is we're having these broad group conversations. And I listen to them on Clubhouse, I listen to them on fan base, I see these comments on social media, and I just sit there and I'm going, Just like I tell people, it's dangerous. It is very dangerous when people go, ooh, that's marriage goals. I don't know how many people have said Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, marriage goals, until Gabrielle writes her book.
Right.
And Gabrielle is talking about what they went through. I know both of them very well.
Yep.
But when Gabrielle writes in her book, when there was a break in their relationship and Dwayne had a baby with another woman.
Yeah. Oh, is that marriage goals too now?
And when people go through that, but there are people who have been married and somebody has cheated, but they were able to deal with that and are still together.
Yep.
Is that marriage goals?
Right.
Is it marriage goals when these two have been married? But perfect example, John David Washington. Remember when Craig Melvin of Today Show was interviewing him, and he was talking about, and Craig was talking about Denzel and your dad, the actor, and he was like, whoa. My mama taught me this. He had to remind her that my mama's an actress.
Yep.
He said also, remind you, my mama was making more than my daddy when they met.
Yep.
And so people like, and I text Pauletta. I said, I love that. Because what he was reminding, he said, no. Stop saying I'm Denzel's son.
Right.
Like mama.
I'm also Paulette's son.
He said, I learned love as an actor from my mama. And so it's amazing when I listen to these people and I go, so when you start talking about marriage goals, I said, are you talking about the trips around the world?
Right.
The couple's taking? Are you talking about when this person buys his wife an expensive car? Is that marriage goals? I said, or is a marriage goal that brother who didn't go to college and that sister who didn't go to college, but they raised 5 kids, married, 54 years, still love and adore one another, not always perfect, drama, issues, financial issues, personal issues, all of those things, health issues, but still together.
Yep.
Still loving on one another, still doting on one another. That's my experience with my parents. So is that a marriage goal? Last one, I want you to respond to this one. I've said to people, I did a conference, and we were discussing this whole issue. And they talking about the list. It's my list, sisters, they list, brothers, they list. The night before, we were talking about just how we're growing up, our parents, whatever. So the next day I said, let me ask y'all a question. Brothers, could your mama make your list?
Wow.
And then I said, sisters, could your daddy
make your list?
Make your list. So all this stuff you got. You want him to be cultured. You like the opera and the arts and Broadway.
Yep.
You gotta be 6 figures.
Yeah.
Gotta have all the. I went through all the. I said, because when y'all were talking about your mama and your daddy and how you grew up, how they, I said, your mom and daddy had none of the stuff on your list.
Yep.
Bruh, when I say the room went silent, because I was trying to get them to see this thing differently.
Yep. The quickest way to shut down a room like that is not to speak truth, but to ask for truth. Could your daddy make your list? Could your mama make your list? Because the truth of the matter is that we've placed somehow these loftier expectations on what we see a partner to be. And somehow we feel like, I'm just gonna say it, man. I feel like our sisters more than where we are with our brothers, feel like they need this perfect partner or he's not a man. And they may not be holding themselves to the same standard.
Or I get this here. I've gotten this here. Roland, why do I need to lower my standard?
Right. And
then I would go, first of all, what's a standard? I said, what is a standard?
Well, it also depends on what standard are you holding someone to. Is it realistic that you're holding specific standard?
And I've challenged brothers the same thing. It's
Absolutely.
That's what it kills when people start talking about standards or these are my expectations. And I would then go, okay, all right. I mean, I got all that. But what I want to know is, what is it that you really, really value in a partner?
Yeah.
I mean, is it the money? Is it the house? Is it the job? Is it their love of culture? Or is this person going to be there for me?
Yeah.
And no matter what I'm dealing with, and I'm like, yo, you cannot put a price tag on that.
You sure can't.
You cannot.
And let me tell you something.
And that's not to any sister. No, you trying to get, no, that's for any brother as well. That's for any man, any woman who's talking about standards and lists and all those things. That to me is, that's down defining, coming down to the true essence of what do I want in a partner?
Yeah, too many people I think are looking for sponsors and not partners. Sponsors and not partners. Too many of us have been taught that the way to have this great marriage or the way to have this great life is to find this great sponsor, right? But very few of us have ever been taught how to be in partnership, right? So our expectation is to have a great partner, but have you made yourself a great partner? Are you the kind of partner that you're asking the universe to deliver to you, right? So every single person is like, they want their partner to be this, and very few of them are that as a partner.
Right.
So that in and of itself seems to insinuate that we have been taught how to look for sponsors and not look for partners because we haven't been taught how to be that.
And when we talk about sponsors and partners, just a couple more questions. That doesn't just apply to romantic relationships.
Yeah.
That applies to friendships. It applies to how do you see things solely transactional. I mean, it's crazy. I can think that I started this off by saying, like, this is other than when you came on the show with your book, this is our first sit down interview. When Jada executive produced the documentary on Angela Davis, we were on the red carpet. And I was waiting for her, and Will came by and came up for an interview. Will said, hold up, before you start. He said, man, turn to the camera and said, man, let me tell you something about this brother here. He'll just send you a text saying, hey, man, what's up? Hope all is well. Hope things, happy birthday, happy Father's Day. He said, and not wanting anything. Shooting these interviews, it was the first time in all of these years I said, Will, I want to sit down and do a one-on-one interview. Never before. The point I'm making is, even when we talk about our relationships, there are people, to your point, where they want to be transactional, where they want a sponsor, where they want to just know you, I need something from you, as opposed to, no, there's a relationship there that's been developed and cultivated and nurtured, that has grown, and it's not just a passing. You see somebody, hey man, what's going on? How you doing? That to me, I think what a lot of people they've got to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, great little segue, book number 2 is a relationship book. Because aside from doing the sessions that I do with the couples that I work with, forget it. Being in partnership with the same woman for 24 years is in and of itself a feat, particularly in Hollywood. That's like 400 years in our town, right? So this makes me very well qualified to talk on this subject. What I want is to be able to give the people, like what my intention was with Male versus Man, was to give the people information, instruction, and then serve as accountability as they move forward in it. Because we really do need it. We're looking at our people who don't, in my humble opinion, aren't in relationship long enough, right? And many people don't know how to walk it out simply because they've never been taught.
And
so
also,
we gotta change that.
And also to understand when the shift happens. I mean, look, both of you have been actors for a very long time. And there have been situations where you were the main wage earner.
That's right.
She was the main wage earner.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden, it's so funny. When Sally first started directing, folks, y'all gotta understand, three of us having this conversation, and she's like, "Oh, I mean, I'm getting a few assignments, but I want more." And me and Dondré would look at each other. We were like,
dude, she was booked out for months.
It was hilarious. The three of us are sitting
ahead
there,
of time, bro.
and she's sitting there like I don't have enough work, and we were like,
"Are you crazy? You're killing it right now. You're getting more than you should be getting at this point."
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
And both of us were like,
this is a very great example of perception versus reality.
And this is me and Dondré look at each other like,
what are you talking
Shut up, Sally. What are you talking about? It was on a, and she started laughing. Right. Like, because me and you looking like,
it was bananas.
How much more work
How much more work do you need? Are you crazy?
It was so funny.
It's crazy, dude.
But again, so y'all's dynamic has shifted.
Totally.
She's like, folks who follow social media.
Yep.
Where in the hell was it? Was she in Prague?
Prague.
She was in Prague.
Budapest.
She was in Budapest.
She was all over. And then, now watch this. Now this, 2 points here. We were talking about being a man and that is not a monolithic thing. 2 years in a row, while she was in Prague, who was at home dealing with the kids?
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Now, it wasn't like I was sitting there as a house husband, because I'm writing books, I'm doing my counseling sessions, I'm doing my speaking engagements, because now that was the great thing that came out of COVID.
The talk show pilot.
The talk show pilot, all that kind of stuff. The very next year, what happens? She misses another full school year because she's in New York. She can't travel back and forth because they're trying to create the COVID bubble.
Right.
So now 2 years in a row, 8 months, I am dealing with the kids, both kids, by myself while I'm running my businesses.
Right.
That's what a man is. And to your point, this is where a marriage shift happens. Right. Now all of a sudden,
it wasn't like
she's gone.
Wasn't it like Christmas and y'all had to go over?
Dude, we went to Prague. That's where we went.
Right.
We went over to Prague. We had Christmas there because she had to stay. Now it's not Christmas there, they don't have the same thing.
Right.
So we had to do our Christmas there. Right. That's how things change, dude. And you have to be fluid inside your relationship.
There you go.
And it's not it has to be this or it has to be that.
Where you at? When you coming home? Like, yo, I'm dealing with all this sort of stuff.
Hey man, that's what the job calls for,
there
bro.
You go. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? In the marriage, or even people who are not married, in relationships, in friendships, the dynamics are going to shift.
They're gonna shift.
And if you have a real relationship,
Yeah, man.
if you have a real friendship, if two of y'all are working, if two of y'all are friends and y'all working together,
Yep.
then all of a sudden, this friend takes
Yep.
off.
Yep.
The question is, are you still that good friend when I'm now flying private
Yep.
and you are flying coach when we both were flying coach?
Mm-hmm.
Can we still, and to this friend up here,
Mm-hmm.
do you understand that you're now operating with a whole set of people who are now around you,
Yep.
different class,
Yep.
and you don't dismiss who was your ride or die,
Yeah.
who was with you?
Well, because the nature of all that is that if I fly first, you fly first. That's how that goes. So it's not like, oh, you to your point. If I'm flying in first, then you back there and coach. Like no. You get pulled up here with me. You immediately get an upgrade because I got upgraded.
And if you don't, we still going to the same place.
We still going in the same place. And don't lose. Each person has to work hard at not losing your mind.
So don't sit in the back.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I'm sitting here back in coach and in first class, but we going the same place together.
Yep.
Or vice versa.
Yep.
Don't sit. Oh, you're back there and coach, I'm in first class. The dynamics change. And to me, that's the piece right there. Going back to the list.
Yeah, man.
The standards.
Yep.
The expectations. When you don't I mean, it's happened when we've flown. I've got more miles than my wife. And then they might upgrade me to first class. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And so I was like, I can't believe you allow your wife to sit in coach. And my wife was like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to sleep.
If I don't have a problem, then you shouldn't.
Right. She's like, we good. Where I know some other sisters, no, you
sit back here with me.
Right, sit back here with me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man, that again, that what I tell people, you have to analyze the person. Not their mama, not their daddy, not the person, because that person may be somebody who's completely different than all the rest of the other family members. But if you made the judgment, oh, he like all them.
Yep.
Then you, and I said this to many brothers and sisters, I said, if y'all honest, y'all hitting 40 and 45, 50, I said, if you real honest, you passed up some good brothers and sisters. And God sent you some good brothers and sisters. But you allowed your list and your judgments and your standards and all of that to get in the way of seeing who is this brother? Who is this sister? I said, and only you are to blame. And then when you look at what they've done, and now you're like, what the hell? Because you were not being honest with yourself.
Those are facts, bro. It's tough to navigate, but it'd be a whole lot easier if people got conscious about how to, where am I right now? Who am I, right? Get this information.
That phrase, who am I? I've told people why self-assessments are so important.
Man, listen to me, particularly for the bros.
And they're painful.
They're super painful, but watch this. In Male versus Man, I talk about how I end every single night without fail. Like like an athlete does.
Right.
After a game, they look at footage.
Right. There you go.
Why? To assess.
Right.
their performance.
There you go.
For the sake of showing up better
Right.
in the next game.
Right.
Right? So for me, I look at my day and how I moved as a man during that day so that I can perform better in my next game. What's the next game for a man? The next day.
There you go.
So the version of Dondré that you meet today is not going to be the version that you meet tomorrow.
Right.
Because every single day I'm leveling up. So if everybody did that every single day, not only would we be the better versions of ourselves, but now this is how we grow our society.
Right.
Everybody is leveling themselves up.
And that self-assessment means answering that basic question that you just said. Who am I? What makes me an introvert or an extrovert? Why do I love to dance? Why I don't like to dance? Why do I like these foods and I don't like these foods? I hate cold food. I'm not eating cold food. I don't give a damn what you think. You may like cold foods. Why is it that when I go on vacation, I'm playing golf? And if I can't, I'm going to be unhappy. We're just not even going to debate this. Because that's what I like and love. Who am I? Why am I a big personality? Why am I reserved? All those things go into be your self-assessment. Now, and I say people, we typically go through this. We've had a traumatic experience, a near-death experience, loved one passes away, divorce, get fired from a job, lose a job, whatever. And I'm saying to people, no, do the self-assessment when nothing has happened.
Yeah.
And now when you do that, you have far more clarity to go, this is why, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to see. When I got divorced, 1999, I was very clear. Self-assessment, everything. Met my wife shortly after divorce. Like, within 5 months. Was not trying to hook up with anybody, but God was like, this is who you're going to marry. And made it real clear in a very loud way.
Right.
But the thing there was, I was clear. I would meet other sisters, nope. Because the self-assessment had already been done, and I knew there was no, like, it would not work because the self-assessment was there. And I think when we do that, I believe our relationships change, our careers change, everything changes because we now know who we are as individuals.
Yep. Got to know self, bro. At the end of the day, that's the key. Whether you're going to be, whether you're dealing with who you are at home, and I talk about this all the time. So I counsel a brother who, he's won 8 Grammys, fantastic songwriter, producer. And one day we were in his office and I asked him a question because I was counseling him in the area of manhood. And I said, do you consider yourself to be a success? And he had this quizzical look on his face. Because we're in his opulence. He said, well, yeah. So I said, So I started writing down notes, and he said, well, don't you consider me to be a success? And I said, well, let me throw some things out at you real quick, and then I want you to re-answer. I said, your wife is ready to divorce you. Children who live in your home right now are completely detached from you because they don't trust you. The child who lives 3,000 miles away from here does not have a relationship with you, doesn't know who you are, is really uninterested in having that relationship based on how you're showing up. So now, again, I ask you, do you consider yourself to be a success? And he stopped and he looked down and he looked back up and he said, no. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't either. I said, what you are is accomplished.
Boom.
Your 8 Grammys, your catalog that sold for $100 million, those say that you are accomplished. But a man who is truly successful creates balance for himself, both personally and professionally. balance. That is success. Anything other than that is simply accomplishment. Big difference.
And we're going to leave it right there.
Right there.
My brother.
All day, every day.
Yes, sir.
On the golf course, here we come.
That's right. Tell Sally what's up.
All day. She's like, who are you going to talk to? I'm like, I'm going to talk to Roland. She just said, oh, Lord.
She know how that